Welcome to Stanford Stadium, home of the Cardinals, sit atop the Pac-10 with a 2-0 mark. The faithful have come to the farm today in hopes of seeing the home team win their third straight. The undefeated UCLA Bruins provide the challenge today in a pivotal Pac-10 matchup.
Hard to imagine any nicer weather or any nicer setting than Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California for this Pac-10 matchup between the visiting UCLA Bruins and the hometown Stanford Cardinal, your leaders in the Pac-10. That's right, the Cardinal are 2-0 so far, and UCLA now dipping their toes in conference waters to begin a 9 straight no-bye week run through the Pac-10. A lot to be done with today's game. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us with David Norrie. I'm Dave Lamont, and you know it's a Pac-10 game, David, but it has a Big Ten feel to it for the style of these two teams. The rugged defense of UCLA and the running game of Stanford. And we're going to unveil today, if you haven't seen him, one of the most underrated players in the country playing for Stanford.
Oh, there's no doubt. Stanford is a football team built around a power running game. And I've got news for you out there. The #1 running back in the Pac-10 Conference right now is not Javid Best. It's Toby Gerhart. And I'll tell you what, he is maybe the best power back in the country. Last week, 200 yards against Washington. He's the #3 back when you talk production in the country right now. And he is an exceptional combination of power at the line of scrimmage and speed once he can break the line of scrimmage. He's got great feet. He's got great lateral ability. And if you take poor angles on him in the secondary, he has the capability to run away from defensive backs.
Yeah, when was the last time anybody used the name John Riggins to describe a college back? But that's the apt comparison that's thrown around all the time about Toby Gerhart. Now, the UCLA defense has not allowed any of their opponents, David, to reach the 300 total yard level. And it is a defense that is complete from every position.
Well, that's true. They've got all-stars at all 3 levels. Brian Price, of course, keys things. He's an All-American candidate up front. A great group of linebackers that can run to the football. And then a couple ball hawks in Raheem Moore and Alteron Werner in the secondary, #1 and #3 in the country in interceptions. I mean, they've got great production from a turnover standpoint. And the key stat on UCLA after the first quarter this season, after 3 games, they've only given up a total of 9 points. Rick Neuheisel not afraid to put the game on his defense's shoulders.
Well, you know, David, we've gone a long time already talking about this game and haven't mentioned any of the quarterbacks yet. Of course, that's your specialty, and we're going to get a look today at a very promising freshman, Andrew Luck, for Stanford.
Well, I think if you talk a toolbox and skills throwing the football, he may be the most talented young quarterback in the Pac-10 Conference. And I know there's a guy by the name of Matt Barkley down at USC. Andrew Luck is a prototype pocket passer. He's big. He's got excellent arm talent. He can make all the throws. And what I really like about him is, you know, he's protected in the backfield with the running game with Toby Gerhart, but he is able to take a little bit off the ball. He throws with touch, and then if he has to load up and make a throw down the football field, very, very talented with his arm.
Well, UCLA won the toss and deferred, David, so we're going to get a look at Chris Owusu. Those numbers are Tecmo Bowl video game numbers. Unbelievable. And he's run the last 2 opening kickoffs back for touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the way that Rick Neuheisel plays the kickoffs. He said, you know, we can kick the ball high, we can kick directionally, or we can do other things like not kick it to him.
How about just blasting it through the end zone? Because that's exactly what happens, and that is the best defense against the #1 kickoff man in the country. Jeff Locke with the kick. Well, Stanford 3-1, and the amazing stat here regarding the Cardinals, how few seconds, not just minutes, seconds they have trailed this year.
No, they tied the game up late a couple of weeks ago against, or actually Wake Forest tied the ball game up late 2 weeks ago at Wake Forest, and then Stanford lost with 2 ticks left on the clock. A very tough loss for Jim Harbaugh and the Cardinal. And you know, there's been a turnaround, and I think it all goes back to the toughness that Jim Harbaugh has coached on both sides of the ball.
And look at the redshirt freshman, highly recruited out of Houston, was Andrew Luck, super prep All-American. And they do pound it with Gerhart. And that's the strength-on-strength battle we expect to see all day today. Tony Dye up from his safety position to make the stop. Let's take a look at the impact players. Beginning, of course, with the man you just saw carry the ball, Toby Gerhart, 200 yards last week in the victory over Washington. Chris Owusu, we didn't get to see him return kicks. He's also an outstanding breakaway speed receiver. And one of the best safeties in the nation, Bo McNally. He is the 2-time captain of the Stanford defense. Little pressure. Luck had room to run, but he'll instead take the pass completed to Kobe Fleener, the tight end, very close to the first down. Gain of about 11 there. And for Fleener, that's his 6th catch on the year.
Fleener is a tight end that you love to see if you're a quarterback. And pretty good on the line of scrimmage, but he's exceptional running and exploring the field vertically. And last week against Washington, in the first half of that ball game, a big play down the middle on a seam route between Luck and Fleener.
See if they pound Gerhart here. Well, Jim Harbaugh calls the plays, David, and probably didn't take him long to make up that decision.
Well, just the presence of a Toby Gerhart in the backfield takes a lot of pressure off Jim Harbaugh's redshirt freshman quarterback. What a comfort, a luxury to have number 7, all the experience and talent at that position, lining up behind your young quarterback.
So first down for the Cardinal after they overcame that 5-yard false start penalty before the game even really began. Pressure, they go underneath, and this will not gain much. Solid tackle that time for UCLA by Kyle Bosworth. Fleener making the stop again. You've got 2 Bosworths for the Bruins, of course. Kyle and his twin brother Corey both are having outstanding seasons.
Yeah, they are both true football players, and they may not be, first round picks, in the spring draft, but they are fairly talented when it comes to physical attributes, and they are very heady players. And the coaching staff for UCLA talking all week long about the play they're getting out of the Bosworth brothers.
And Luck could be changing the play there because he had a man go in motion, then stop. Power ball, good blocking here for Gerhart, and a first down for the Cardinal out to nearly midfield. 15 yards.
Well, this offensive line for Stanford really sets the tempo. Gerhart can't be effective the way he has been in the early season without great play up front. You see his fullback, Owen Marisic, getting out, getting a great block on the perimeter, and you give Gerhart some room at the line of scrimmage, he's going to do a lot of damage against you.
So Stephen Taylor is now in at that single tailback position. Gerhart taking a break. One-on-one fumble. Looks like the Bruins have it, and they do. Owusu lost the ball. And it looked like Akeem Ayers is the one who picked it up for UCLA.
Yeah, this is just a quick pass outside. They're trying to take advantage of Owusu's running ability. Alteron Werner, a sure tackler at cornerback, getting into Owusu's legs, and then Akeem Ayers takes him up high. And watch the play that Ayers makes. He forces a fumble, and then he's quick to his feet to get up and cover the football.
So that'll be at the UCLA 44-yard line. You get a good look at Ayers. We talked about this UCLA defense, and I thought you made a great point early on. Talent at every level. Front 4, linebacker, and in the secondary.
Yeah, and really, you look under the hood at Stanford, one of the only chinks in their armor, 6 turnovers over the last 2 weeks.
Now you get a good look at the very talented freshman tailback, Jonathan Franklin. We have 2 terrific runners in this game. And in fact, UCLA pretty deep at that position, but Franklin won the job. He's out of Los Angeles. Scored on the first ever touch he had as a collegiate football player.
Franklin is a guy who made a lot of strides in the offseason, a true freshman a year ago, playing on the scout team. And talking to Wayne Moses, the running back coach for UCLA, it was only a matter of days in the fall before Jonathan Franklin separated himself as a #1 back.
And he is very close to the first down. Delano Howell coming up to make the stop. Delano Howell, the sophomore from Newhall, California. Take a look at Kevin Kraft. Now, he had an interesting year last year, David. A lot of interceptions. Obviously not all his fault. It was 20 interceptions he threw last season.
Well, he was one of the more maligned quarterbacks, no doubt, in the country a year ago. And, a lot of it was on him. 20 interceptions, 7 of those picks went the other way for touchdowns. But you look at the offensive line for UCLA a year ago, not much talent up front.
There's Franklin popping through all the way to the secondary. It looked like Howell in on the stop again for a gain of about 5.
Prince suffering that fractured jaw. He still has that wired shut. He's doing some light throwing during practice, and sometime this month he's expected to be back.
Yeah, they speculate there's a possibility he may be back for Oregon next week, but you know, Kraft, a quarterback that a lot of people thought may never get another chance, and here he is back on the big stage under the spotlight, and I think there's a shot if Kraft continues to play as well as he did last week, he may be in the mix.
Looking for Austin. Nice throw by Kraft. Austin inside the 20, out of bounds and around the 15-yard line. The senior with a beautiful throw. David, could that have been the same play, and only this time they executed it properly?
Well, this time they're going to roll Kevin Kraft, and a lot of people think, hey, you know, he's better when he gets outside of the pocket. And slot receiver Terrence Austin running another post corner route on consecutive plays, and what a ball from Kraft.
They mark it at the 17, 1st and 10. Franklin showing some nice feet. Bust a couple of tackles, he'll get down to the 11-yard line.
Now, this Stanford defense, we talked in the open about the physicality on offense, the fact that this team is built around a power running game. They're also built around a physical front seven, and the work they did last week against Jake Locker in Washington really only gave up one touchdown. Remember, the Huskies scored a touchdown defensively, and you know, this defense pretty stout. The trick against Stanford is you try to get them out in space a bit, match up your talent players that linebacker level.
Kraft wants that slant, instead throws the fade and throws it away. Bo McNally on the coverage that time, so it's going to be Terrence Stevens. Had some outstanding pressure, by the way. 3rd down and 5. Take a look at what UCLA has done in the red zone. Actually, not that hot. They are near the bottom in the Pac-10.
Well, and again, Rick Neuheisel very comfortable with his defense. He's put his defense on the spot in 3 games early in this season, 3-0, and each time the defense has been called upon to win football games. So, you know, UCLA's offense, I think the top priority is to not turn the football over even in the red zone and make sure that you at least come away with points.
Kraft for that end zone again, and no one there. So it's going to be 4th down and 5. They do have one of the best kickers in the nation in Kai Forbath, a Groza Award watch lister.
And you can see how Kevin Kraft has been coached during the fall, and certainly since he took over for Kevin Prince. Very conservative down in the red zone when you talk about selecting receivers and trying to fit the ball into tight spaces. On that last play, he just threw the football away.
29 for Forbath. You see he's got some pretty significant numbers, and partially tipped. You could see the direction of the ball change, but it's still going to be 3 points for UCLA. Not the best looking kick he's ever had, but it doesn't matter. The Bruins score first. The sights of Northern California, the beautiful Bay Bridge. You're on your way to the Cal game, right? You would take that, David, to get there?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I have not seen 2 or 3 more beautiful days in the Bay Area in a long time.
Well, we didn't identify Jeff Locke, the kicker who handles kickoffs for UCLA, as an impact player, but so far he's done his job. He blasted the first one in the end zone to keep it away from Chris Owusu.
Yeah, we talked to Rick Neuheisel earlier this week. He said we only had 1 touchback the entire year in 2008, a year ago.
This one's hanging, and see what Owusu does. No, that really carried. He's going to go ahead and take a knee, and once again the Cardinal will start at the 20-yard line. A little power I formation for the Cardinal, and Gerhart tripped up after only a couple of yards.
Well, defensive coordinators across the Pac-10 as they prepare for Stanford, you know, through October, November, and into the postseason. The focal point is Toby Gerhart, and I think defensive coordinators, Dave, they're going to say if we can stop Toby Gerhart, we have a chance to beat this team. UCLA showing some resolve up front, and they are also getting the safeties creeping up near the line of scrimmage to help against the run game.
4 carries, 25 yards so far for Gerhart. Here's a deep shot. You talked about roll up the safeties. When you do that, you go deep.
Ryan Whalen on the catch. That'll be inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line. That's a 40-yard pickup.
UCLA packing it in. Look at the defenders up near the line of scrimmage to stop Gerhart, and then a simple post route. We talked about the arm talent of Andrew Luck. This is a beautiful ball, and the ball gets on him in a hurry. Pretty good coverage down the center of the field. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap to the quarterback.
Sheldon Price on the stop, but not until Stanford has their first big play of the day. Little end around here to Owusu. You get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and he almost popped through there, and he winds up with about an 8-yard gain to around the 30-yard line.
Yeah, what I really like about Stanford and their offensive attack is they're built to win with the run game, but they have a quarterback that can exploit you outside if you're overplaying the run. We went up to Cal, Oregon a week ago, and Javid Best with all the gaudy numbers. Kevin Riley, the Cal quarterback, was not able to hit the balls outside, the big balls down the field, and as a result, Javid Best was shut down throughout the afternoon.
Taylor now in at the tailback position, and he clears out to the slot. In a double coverage, and it didn't matter. It's going to be ruled incomplete, or is he down by contact? Now the linesman is coming in to say he is down, so he raced and he fumbled, and they'll spot that at about the 19-yard line.
Now, once again, we see the feed of Andrew Luck. He's getting pretty good protection up front. Big fella's working, creating a pocket. Luck not getting too greedy. Going to Fleener, his tight end, over the middle, and let's...
Third and long. Luck. This time he'll keep it. Look how wide open the spaces are. He'll take the safe route at the 7-yard line and get an easy first down for the Cardinal following that 12-yard pickup.
Jim Harbaugh and his offensive coordinator David Shaw were raving about Andrew Luck's ability to pull the football down. Did a lot of damage last week against the Huskies on the farm here, and he has the ability to tuck the ball. He's very decisive with his decisions when he decides to pack it, and that can really damage a defense up the middle.
And back to the power I for the Cardinal with Gerhart at the top. Had a hole, and it closed quickly behind that fine Bruin line, maybe a yard. Sawerski in there, Price in there. You pretty much name your favorite Bruin on defense, and he's in on the stop.
A nice mix of pass and run by the Stanford offense on this drive, and this is really a drive that Stanford needed to answer. And I'll tell you, Dave, when you got a guy like Toby Gerhart lining up a tailback, it opens up so many more aspects of your offense and gives you opportunities man-to-man on the outside almost on every play.
There you see at times Stanford has been clumsy in the red zone. 4 turnovers. 10th play of the drive right here. Fake it to Gerhart. And open in the end zone and through behind a wide open receiver that time. That looked to be Conrad Rulin.
Well, you see Andrew Luck pointed his chest 2 or 3 times there. He's saying, hey, that's on me, and it really is. This is a touchdown. Great play action by Luck, and that's a missed throw. I mean, that's pitch and catch. All he has to do is just put the ball on the numbers or lead him, and doesn't even have to put much velocity on that football. That is a missed opportunity. Let's see if Stanford can redeem themselves here on 3rd down.
Luck had hit his first 5 passes until that miscue. Gerhart has some blocks. Little hole. He's in. Standing up.
Now this is vintage Toby Gerhart, and how about the work up front? Ryan Whalen. I've been very impressed with the wide receivers getting downfield and blocking for Stanford.
And the PAT is true. Toby Gerhart's 6th touchdown of the season on the ground has given the Cardinal the lead. And very possible the winner of this game will sneak into the top 25. UCLA hasn't lost, and Stanford's only trailed coming into this game by just 2 seconds. And they lead the Pac-10 with 2-0. A 5-yard run by Gerhart, 11 plays, 80 yards, and 540.
Austin. We talked a lot about Owusu as a kick returner. Austin is one of the best in the history of the UCLA program, averaging 30 yards per return. They get a chance here. And you would figure a Stanford team that is used to covering Owusu in practice can take care of business here. Little pressure as they set up the screen, and it is really read well by Chike Amajoy, who came racing in to stuff that after only a 3-yard gain. The catch made by Coleman, but Amajoy was right there.
Yeah, Amajoy, he really jumps off the film when you watch him. The recognition on the screen play, moved his feet quickly, got in position to make the tackle. You see right here, he's going to get up, he's going to read it immediately. And right after Coleman makes a catch on the screen, 43 is there to greet him.
Could be the last play of the first quarter. Coleman again. And the Stanford defense getting a little ornery now. Not much of a gain for Coleman, and that will be the final play of the quarter as middle linebacker Clinton Snyder among the stoppers after only a 1-yard gain. So Stanford in front in the Pac-10 and in front of this game through one quarter. Not exactly your ordinary, normal, typical marching band, the Stanford band. Entertaining, to say the least. All right, third down, 21 for UCLA to open the second quarter. With David Norrie, I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you for making us part of your college football Saturday.
Be careful here with the football if you're Kevin Kraft. Can't get too greedy, especially with his history of turnovers.
Kraft's got some room here. It's going to close quickly, and he will do the wise thing and make it just a little bit better for his punter. That's a gain of 8 for Kraft as Chris Evans ran him out of bounds. Well, we talked quite a bit about Chris Owusu. Richard Sherman's not exactly bad at returning punts either. He's already got 2 over 45 on the year and has taken 1 back for a touchdown.
Well, the special teams is a real hallmark of Jim Harbaugh's team, and they've done an excellent job both with kick and punt return. They're also pretty good with the net punting, #1 in the Pac-10 thus far.
This is Locke, who is the kickoff specialist, also ripping this punt. Sherman's got a little room now. Well, not anymore, he doesn't. That's a gain of maybe about 2. So first down for the Cardinal at their own 34 following that penalty. Gerhart. There you see him make a few people miss. David, this is why people are excited about him at the next level. That kind of footwork.
I think Toby Gerhart is one of the more enjoyable tailbacks to watch at the college level. You get a taste of how he can break tackles. You saw his lateral ability. I mean, he can step laterally 1 or 2 holes, 1 or 2 gaps, and then get upfield. He is a workhorse, and you can see from time to time Stanford has to give him a blow on the sidelines. A hard-working running back.
Gives the defense a little bit of a break too, although Taylor's a fine back. He's in there in relief of Gerhart. And this is something you don't see very often. Owen Marisik carrying the football. That's his first carry of the year. The fullback. Such an outstanding blocker, getting a little reward there.
And Marisik goes both ways for Stanford. A throwback guy, linebacker, fullback. And combined with this offensive line, and you pound away with Gerhart, and then you bring in Marisik for a couple touches. Chase Beeler, the center for Stanford, is really the bell cow up front. He transferred from Oklahoma for Jim Harbaugh, and he's done a terrific job calling the signals. And a couple young redshirt freshmen in Martin and DeCastro have stepped into the mix.
Little blitz here from UCLA, and Luck's got some room to make a decision. Whatever he wanted to do, he could do it. That'll be a first down. He could have run for the first down, but he made the wise decision and threw it to Owusu.
Now this is a nice route by Owusu, and he establishes a threat on one of the better cornerbacks in the country. Nice job of being physical at the top of the route. That wasn't an offensive push-off. And then how about the effortless delivery by Andrew Luck as he rolls to his left? David Shaw, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, told us yesterday that he's just as effortless throwing the ball on the run as he is in the pocket.
15th carry. Look how he followed the blocker and into the end zone. Touchdown for Stanford.
Well, we talked about DeCastro, very athletic redshirt freshman at guard. They're going to run power. He's going to come and get a block, and he has been so efficient. Pulling early in the season, Gerhart going right off his tail cloth inside. A great job by Gerhart to read the block.
Now Stanford is taking control of this game exactly the way they wanted to play it, by running Toby Gerhart and attacking with the run game.
Well, Neil Young, it's just over the years going back to the early 70s, and I know that dates me, but how about the career he's had, and one of the great all-time musicians, a Canadian born.
His father was a very famous sports writer who died recently a few years back. Kraft, nice catch. Well, that's just a tremendous job by Logan Paulson, the tight end, to hang on to that ball.
A nice effort by Paulson to at least maybe force a measurement here. He stopped the clock. And the officials are going to call it a first down. It looks like they're waving the chain crew forward, so they're going to give him a first down.
Quick plays here, slant, that's going to be a first down and almost a big play. That was Nelson Rosario, the sophomore from Oceanside, California. If he busts that tackle, David, he's in the end zone.
And Nelson Rosario is one of the most talented receivers in the country at the freshman sophomore level. He is a superstar in the making, and another nice throw from Kraft.
And Kraft will just take it himself. Let her slide, and he does, and he got belted around the 20-yard line.
They'll call their timeout here most likely. Now they're going to
only one left. Now Forbath has got a great leg. You get about 5 more yards and you're in his range.
That's a nice play to get back up to the line of scrimmage there.
And a first down. That'll stop the clock for the moment. And once again, Rosario, that's a gain of 12, and the tackle made by Corey Gatewood.
Yeah, and they're not going to waste a play here. A lot of teams would clock the ball, but UCLA going to figure out one of their best pass plays. And you know, they didn't call a timeout, and I like that, a play back there, because UCLA was so quick getting up to the line of scrimmage.
Out open. You see the defender playing off. Did not get out of bounds, however, oh, they did get out of bounds. Wow, I didn't think he did.
Yeah, that was a nice job by Taylor Embry to stretch. It looked like he might get caught in bounds there, but UCLA still saving the timeout, and they've done a nice job working the clock here. You can tell Kevin Kraft started an entire season a year ago, and Rick Neuheisel, one of the top 5 coaches, I would say, in the country out of 120 when it comes to clock management. And he learned from the master, a guy by the name of Homer Smith, back in the 80s when he played quarterback at UCLA.
And that will be a first down to the 18, making the 17-yard line.
Well,
Shane Moline.
And I think you got to either call your timeout here, which they're probably going to do, and then you might have time enough to take a shot into the end zone if you trust him. I don't know. It's, you know, they're just going to bleed the clock down here and then bring Forbath on for the field goal. UCLA. A nice little clock drive there by UCLA at a time that they really needed it.
Mentioned Forbath, tremendous kicker. 10 out of 11 on the year. Made 23 of his last 24. This is 34 yards. And no problem, so UCLA does get a little bit of an energy boost with that field goal for Rick Neuheisel's team, but he's got to figure out a way to slow down the Stanford running game and Toby Gerhart. Stay tuned after the break for the Cooper Tires Halftime Report with John Saunders and Jesse Palm. Pac-10 big game here. UCLA starting their Pac-10 season at the Farm. Stanford on top of the conference 2-0 and on top of this game 14-6. With David Norrie, Dave Lamont, thank you again for joining us. It's been about ball control. This is the game that Stanford Jim Harbaugh wanted to see.
Well, it was no surprise to see Toby Gerhart come out, control the ball behind his big offensive line. I've been impressed with Andrew Luck at quarterback. I think he's the perfect complement to this power running game. He's been accurate, 6 for 8 on third down conversions for the Cardinal in the first half. If the Cardinal gets this type of efficiency from Andrew Luck, through the season. I think this is going to be a very tough offense to stop.
It's been a while since the Cardinal been in a bowl game. That certainly is one of their goals for the long season. As we bring you our Pacific Life game summary, who else but Toby Gerhart, 89 first half yards.
Yeah, and he, almost from the opening bell, just pounding away at the defensive front for UCLA. He showed the ability to break tackles, his lateral ability along the line of scrimmage, and then he showed some nice footwork when he got to the second level. And, you know, UCLA can really draw a little bit from that final drive. The numbers were lopsided until UCLA made that final clock drive, got a field goal, and, you know, Rick Neuheisel has to be excited that he's only down 14-6 at this point.
And, of course, no one's going to be more fussy about quarterback play than Rick Neuheisel, and Kevin Kraft looked really good in that 2-minute drill.
Yeah, these are some of the throws that we have not seen from Kevin Kraft historically. He showed the ability to get back and get the ball downfield, show some mobility, pulling the football down, but on the clock drive, he worked his feet, did a nice job of getting the ball to receivers out on the sideline, keeping the clock stopped, and then most importantly, UCLA was able to manage the clock and get Kai Forbath onto the field, one of the best kickers in all of college football.
So UCLA to start off with Austin. He'll take the knee in the end zone, and we'll get a good look at that senior from Valley Center, California. Kevin Kraft, a quarterback, redshirt senior. 7 touchdown passes and 20 interceptions last year. And he's getting the start, of course, the second one of the season for him because Kevin Prince was injured a month ago almost at Tennessee. You see what Luck has done also for Stanford. His biggest play may have been falling on a fumble on a 24-yard loss that kept UCLA from getting better field position on their final drive.
Well, for Kevin Kraft, the combination of making some throws and threatening the field vertically, as well as playing a clean game, no turnovers, that's really what UCLA wanted to see.
Start with Franklin, and he is spun down after getting only a couple. And it looked like, once again, Chike Amajoy making a great stop. This game has been about ball control, and for the Cardinal, that's third number down. It just screams at you.
19 minutes plus time of possession, and again, time of possession can be a deceptive stat week in and week out, not for a Jim Harbaugh team. If his team is dominating time of possession, it's usually going to mean a W for Stanford.
And one way to do that is to run the ball, but Tom McAndrew getting some time at defensive end today. Eric Lorig not 100%, and McAndrew in there among many Cardinal defenders. That play didn't get anything at all. And so now a third down and long for Rick Neuheisel, the play caller, of course, for the Bruins.
Now, Eric Lorig is a relentless defensive end who tweaked his groin on Thursday, and he was a game time decision as we got into Friday and Saturday. McAndrew stepping up, and this defensive line has a lot of depth for Stanford, both inside and outside at the end position.
Blitz from Stanford up the middle. Time for Kraft. And that's going to be a chance at a first down. Oh, man, that is a hit. Clifford. Helmet went backwards. Football went forwards, but shy of the first down as Morrell Presley, who didn't play last week versus Kansas State on suspension, took the hit.
Rick Neuheisel really made some nice off-season moves when it came to recruiting, and Morrell Presley was one of them, a national recruit. You see the toughness there, the headgear coming off, trying to move the ball forward for a first down. Nice job by the Stanford defense closing.
It was Snyder who knocked off the helmet. Wobbler this time by Locke. And Sherman from his 18. Well, he picked up about 8 yards. You saw his punt returning skill there because it looked like he was going to be trapped inside the 20. That was a 53-yard punt. Most of it rolled. Meantime, speaking of runners in the Pac-10, among the best, Toby Gerhart, and he grinds out 6 more. It's like it's inevitable. He'll have at least 100 yards. DeCastro with a big block to lead the way. How about the Stanford offensive line today, David, blocking for him?
I think they've been great, and I think they're starting to gel. So it all starts up front. You don't have a Toby Gerhart and that kind of success unless you're getting jersey on jersey along that offensive line.
So that brings in Burt McBride, who can back up at several different positions for Stanford. Number 70 on the line.
Luck, he's had one good run, and he's got some open space, and great blocking downfield by Owusu. He held off that defender, didn't hold him, but held him off and allowed Luck to gain a first down 16 yards.
You know, when Gerhart cracks off 6 yards on first down, it creates so many play calling opportunities. And then even on the drop back pass, when it isn't there, you have a quarterback that's big and mobile. He doesn't look like he's moving very quickly, but he can have some deceptive plays when he pulls the ball down. How about Owusu working outside? This is one of the best blocking groups of wide receivers, Owusu and Whalen, out on the perimeter that we've seen on the West Coast.
Gerhart, not this time. No way. Brian Price right in there to wipe that out. That's going to be a loss of 3.
Now, Brian Price is a dominant interior defensive lineman. He reminds me a lot of Cedric Ellis, the defensive tackle from USC of a couple years ago. I mean, almost unblockable man-to-man. Very disruptive when it comes to running plays as well as trying to protect the passer, and what a play in the backfield.
They go to the flea flicker, trying to get it to Whalen, who is open. The throw is a great one. It's inside the 10. Ryan Whalen, his 6th catch of the afternoon, his biggest, 46 yards.
It doesn't get any better than this when you run a trick play, and he's going to come all the way across the field. Whalen working deep on the post route. The little delay, and not many quarterbacks in college football can put that ball on a string. That was about a 65-yard ball inside the 10. What a throw.
And no tricks here. Gerhart, that hole open very quickly, and he got it down to the 1-yard line. Again, DeCastro back in the game with another thunderous block.
Well, you just have to be, you just have to be awestruck when you watch the ball come off of Luck's hand. And we talked to Jim Harbaugh about it. We talked to David Shaw, a very talented young coach, the offensive coordinator. They say, hey, we haven't ever seen him. We haven't seen his fastball yet. He's so effortless with his delivery.
2nd and goal from the 1. Gerhart, 97 yards. Get to 98 in the end zone. Yes, touchdown for Stanford. The signal from the linesman. Yeah, they better help him up.
Well, you work all week, and you've got a pet play, a specialty play. You hit it, and you want it to make a difference. And the flea flicker put Stanford in position to score. The Cardinal gets inside the 5. It's almost a moot point with number 7.
Nate Whitaker for the PAT hasn't missed one this season, and he is 19 for 19. The Cardinal have seized control. Jim Harbaugh's team playing nearly perfectly. There's your score in time. Stanford, Toby Gerhart's 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. They have taken this game by the throat. Now it's up to Kevin Kraft and the Bruin offense here at Stanford Stadium on the farm, where we were just there moments ago, waving at you from the window. And we're going to have, on a not too terribly windy day, the breeze picking up a little bit, the ball blown off the tee. As soon as I say that now, we start to feel the breeze in the booth up here. But for Stanford, it has been Gerhart, 98 yards on the ground, the 3 touchdowns. Luck's had a solid game, and the Stanford defense has done a good job against the Bruin attack so far. Austin at the goal line. And Stanford's special teams have kept Terrence Austin bottled up, as dangerous as he is. Well, you know, we don't work Rod Gilmore hard enough. Last night, Pitt at Louisville. Now he joins us here today. And Rod, I want to get your thoughts on this first half and what you've seen so far.
Well, you know, one thing down there in the field, you see that the Stanford offensive line and Gerhart really wearing on the UCLA defense. You can kind of see them pounding out there, and you get that sense and feel. And John Lynch was down there with me. We were kind of looking at that, noticing that. And the other thing we noticed is that Kevin Kraft is more effective on the move. Yeah, they got to get him out of the pocket.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the break. Kevin Kraft, that was a game plan for UCLA late in the season last year, but to me what's really jumped out is that he's been a lot cleaner with his throws.
Yeah, you mentioned Kraft on the move, and he hits one on the move there, close to a first down for the Bruins. In fact, it looks like they do have one.
Dave, you probably saw this. It just seems like he's a more confident quarterback when he uses his athleticism and they roll him out or they let him create instead of putting him in the pocket.
And that was almost a necessity for Rick Neuheisel a year ago with all the protection problems that UCLA had. 35 sacks that the offensive line gave up for UCLA a year ago, and I can remember going into November talking to Norm Chow, talking to Rick Neuheisel, and they felt the same way as you did, Rod. We've got to get him outside to get him comfortable.
First look we get today at Milton Knox, and he is smothered by the Stanford defense. Fua in there for the Cardinal, and also joined by Akam Dofia.
Rod, it also jumps out at me when you look at both of these offenses. They want to run the ball first, and so Stanford has created some leads in this ball game that have made things a little bit uncomfortable for Norm Chow. All of a sudden Kevin Kraft kind of becomes the focal point when you're trailing by 15 points, and it's going to be interesting. He's a wily veteran, and I think he'll still show some patience here early in the third quarter.
Kraft there on the move, gets it underneath the tight end Paulson, and he got back the yardage loss, but that was about it as Will Powers among the stop there.
Dave, I just get the sense that they don't want Kraft to throw the ball 30, 35 times in this ball game. They want to give him some safe throws, some good throws, and clean looks. But when you fall behind like this, you almost have to turn the game over to him a little bit.
Well, it's inevitable, and you look at the success that Stanford's having on offense with the combination, not just that Gerhart's running, but Luck has been flawless, and you almost don't want to punt the ball back to Stanford the way they're moving the football right now.
Well, to Rod's point, 11 of 15 for only 115 yards so far for Kraft, holding the ball a long time back there, and he will go down. No chance. Michael Thomas coming in from the defensive back position.
Well, Stanford hasn't had a lot of success in this football game getting pressure on Kraft. Part of that has been changing up the launch points, but Stanford getting after it. They love to turn things loose with the zone blitz on third downs.
Big left-footed kick by Locke. He ripped this one. But Sherman's in position. He went right back into the defender who missed him the first time. Well, Rod, you can stick around a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure.
I want to talk about the Pac-10 because this game has a lot of bearing on that conference. Well, they're part of the beautiful Stanford campus. A little touch football. Rod Gilmore has joined us after working last night's Pittsburgh-Louisville game, joining David Norrie and myself. And you play a little touch football there, no?
Not very well. I tried to be the quarterback, I needed Norrie as a receiver for me out there so I could hit the big target.
Hey, guys,
I don't move that well.
Well, we know. First time since 2001 we see a site like that. Stanford at 2-0 in the conference.
Yeah, I think if you're handicapping that thing, though, you have to look at Oregon with the home schedule they have.
How about the fact that everybody wrote Oregon off after a non-conference game? And Gerhart caught in the backfield. That is rare. A loss of 2, so he still has not reached the 100-yard mark again.
Well, it's pretty interesting. Not many talented defensive linemen. Probably the toughest position to recruit in college football, but
yeah,
Price has been impressive.
Oh, no, he's an outstanding player. He reminds me a lot of those great defensive linemen at USC we've seen over the years. Interior play like that's hard to come by. And you just get the sense that Neuheisel is building a good, solid recruiting base and a lot of talent he's stockpiling at UCLA.
Gerhart's got a chance to get the first down. He does. Picks up an additional after leaping over the defender. There's about 6 NFL scouts here. They got to be watching this guy.
Well, and you don't see many quarterbacks that can drop back as a redshirt freshman, check down the field, and then come to their outlet on the right side. Look at the eyes as he looks off the defense.
That's one thing that Harbaugh talks about. He's a very poised and a very smart quarterback. He's a guy that, you don't have to spend a lot of time at the blackboard with. You show it to him once, he gets it, he can replicate it on the field without a lot of repetition. And so that's something that really helps you be able to increase your game plan.
1st and 10, back to the power I. Taylor at the top of it this time. run game works no matter who's at the top, as Taylor picks up about 7. Speaking of running backs, we talked about LeGarrette Blount obviously making a lot of news at the Boise State game, and now maybe coming back. Why do you guys feel the way Chip Kelly's handled this?
Well, I thought at the very beginning Chip Kelly made 2 mistakes. One, I think in a situation like that, you always give a guy a way to work his way back to the team if you can. And 2, I thought he moved too quickly. And I thought there was too much pressure there, and he made the decision too quickly. I thought he needed more time.
2nd down and 3. Big hole. And Taylor gets the first down.
A nice drive here by Stanford. Really in sync. And, you know, from my perspective on LeGarrette Blount, I believe, you know, Oregon said that his prior behavior on the team didn't play into the decision. I'm not sure that I bought that 100%. You know, he's getting suspended for not going to class, not going to workouts, those sorts of things. But if you do bring him back, don't bring him back in November. If you decide to bring him back, make him an important part of the team.
I agree.
Bring him back in
let
a
him
week
work
or
his
two.
way in sooner than that if possible.
You either suspend him for the season or let him become a factor for that Oregon team.
And Gerhart back in the game, getting more good blocking and heading for the edge and heading for over 100 yards, and he has another Stanford first down.
This UCLA defense has spent a lot of time on the field, Rod.
Well, it's what we were talking about earlier about them wearing down and how they were pounding them in the first half, and Toby Gerhart leaning on them. See the good block inside, and now you still have those corners and safety men trying to tackle that big guy play after play, and that wears on you.
He's just, I mean, I'm so impressed with his feet. And, you know, the staff, the offensive staff for Stanford said he's such a big guy, but he's got such light feet.
And they go to Taylor, and he's not a bad back either. And you guys have both talked about that. The extra blocking, not just the linemen. That was Marisik right there, the fullback. The receivers have blocked really well. It's been very impressive.
Well, think about a guy like Whalen, who's worked his way up the program as a walk-on. He knew that blocking was the thing that would get him a look and get him on the field. He's become a great blocker and a leader. Chris Owusu has followed in that path, so they really preach that, and they love Gerhart, and they want to see him get big runs by blocking down the field for him.
Well, there's Gerhart right there. Patron now in fullback position. What about his vision, fellas? Gerhart's vision, because you see how he can follow the blocks and find just the tiniest crease.
Well, they run a lot of power. That's their favorite play, and they pull that offside guard. He comes around and he gets up into the gap, and if the rest of the offensive front blocks it soundly, Gerhart's going to come just inside that pulling guard, and Gerhart seems to time it perfectly every snap.
I just wonder, though, Dave, as an old quarterback, when you look out there and you keep seeing that man-to-man coverage, don't you just want to throw it and hand it off?
Yeah, it's awfully tempting, even from up here.
Yeah, but check the scoreboard. This approach is working. Not that time, though. What a play to fill the hole. That's Reggie Carter, the outstanding middle linebacker for the Bruins, making sure that Gerhart didn't add to that rushing total. And now it's going to be time for a field goal and Nate Whitaker.
Well, UCLA has featured performers at all 3 levels. We mentioned Price. Carter, the middle linebacker, makes this defense tough up the middle. They talk front 7. But as a group, they've been overwhelmed by this offensive line throughout most of the afternoon.
First field goal attempt on the day for Whitaker. You see his numbers. This one from 29. And like just about everything else going for Stanford, it is just right where it ought to be, 24-6. Well, Rod, thanks for coming up. Where are you going to be next week?
Reno. Got
Nice.
Nevada and Louisiana Tech.
Thank you.
Going. Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Thanks for having me around. We'll see you soon.
Rod Gilmore joining us in the booth. We'll be back. That's Austin. Stanford's done a good job of bottling him up. On the run, Kevin Kraft. And there's another example where you and Rod touched on this, David, his ability to throw on the run. Would you consider, if you're Rick Neuheisel, more plays to put him on the move?
Well, I think they're already mixing a lot of Kraft on the roll, moving him, and that was part of their game plan a year ago. Norm Chow's very good sensing what works for his quarterbacks, but you know, you go back to the first half, especially on that last drive. I think what has has to be encouraging for Rick Neuheisel, even though he's trailing here by 18 points, is that Kraft is starting to look a little more comfortable in the pocket. He showed us that on the final drive of the first half.
And he's on the roll again, being chased, being belted, dropped the ball. It looked like the Bruins have recovered it at the 40-yard line. And that looked like Mike Harris who fell on the football. Chase Thomas forced it.
Well, it's the elephant in the room with Kevin Kraft. You're always expecting on the road, especially 2 or 3 meltdown plays. He's been very clean with the football for all of this game. And there is the strip. And luckily for the Bruins, ball takes the right bounce and they cover.
We have played 45 minutes in this game. Stanford has held the ball for 29 of them, and they hold the lead. 1 quarter to go at the Farm. And there you get a good look at the Farm, where the home team, Stanford, trying to go to 3-0 in the Pac-10. This is their best start since 2004 at 3-1, and they're in charge here as we start the 4th quarter. A couple of fakes by Kraft. Plenty of time. Wide open receiver. And the effort by Terrence Austin to get to the marker, he just sort of appeared out of nowhere that time, David.
Kevin Kraft is starting to unveil some nice throws, and he's showing that he has a Division I type arm talent. And this is a long throw. A receiver that's essentially behind the line of scrimmage, but he puts it right on the 4 for Terrence Austin. And then Austin, a little bit slow getting started down the sideline, but he does move the chains.
And now how about change of direction? And UCLA will get a first down, gain of 13 for Damian Thigpen, his first carry of the game.
Well, this was a real interesting play call, and it was designed. Now they get play action moving to the right, and then Thigpen wheels, comes back against the grain. And watch this. They get everybody moving, including the offensive line, to play side, to the field, and then Thigpen, a reverse wheel, and a nice pickup.
The freshman from Gainesville, Virginia, stays in the game. Gets a second carry, and not very big. He sort of disappears in among the crowd, but he wiggles down for about a 6 or 7 yard gain.
Well, there's some depth at running back for UCLA, and no doubt that Jonathan Franklin is a Pac-10 talent. Derek Coleman gives you the power aspect, and then you got a guy like Milton Knox and Thigpen. Thigpen didn't figure to get many carries for this UCLA offense.
They're going to try a little power football. Thigpen, look at quick. And another first down for UCLA.
UCLA taking a page out of Stanford's playbook. And running off tackle. Pulling the guard, and Rick Neuheisel looking out on the field here inside 14 minutes to go in the game. This is a must-have drive, and I think Rick Neuheisel is very excited about a field goal here. UCLA really needs 7.
Thigpen is out. Milton Knox is the tailback. Out of the flat. First down. Beautiful play by Ryan Moya. His 65th career catch. Among the very best in UCLA tight end history.
Another solid throw in the slot at the bottom of the screen. Moya is a tight end. He led the Pac-10 in receptions a year ago. He's more of an H-back, not a put your hand down on the line of scrimmage type tight end. And again, Kevin Kraft right on the money.
This is Knox. They tried to pitch it to him out in space, and Stanford's defense was not fooled. As Thomas Kaiser, the sophomore from Wexford, Pennsylvania, he's had such a good season, he was added to the Ted Hendricks watch list.
Yeah, and this is a tremendous play by Kaiser, tracking down Knox out in the open field. Keeps leverage, forces him back to the inside, and then makes a tough open field tackle. Probably the most productive of Stanford's defensive ends.
Kraft by himself. He is 6 out of 6 in this half. To the end zone, defended by Sherman. They're going to throw a flag. Trying to get it to Taylor Embry. And Richard Sherman, who's seen time at wide receiver and defensive back today, looks like he's going to be called for interference.
Pass interference. Penalty will be enforced for the first down.
The ball's going to be placed at the 2-yard line, as it is in college football. We placed at the 1 on Sundays, and you can see Sherman not only with the hand, but also with that body thrust up into the back of Embry. Not a tough play to call near the end line.
Franklin back in at the top of the eye for the Bruins. He has it, but does not have the Bruins' first touchdown. And he didn't get out of bounds, and every second is precious for UCLA, trailing 24-6. A lot of Cardinal defenders over there led by Howell.
Well, and you have to think ball security. Quarterback's job, especially Rick Neuheisel coached quarterback. You get in the huddle and you look your tailback in the eye if he's going to get the carry, and you say, hey, make sure we can hang on to the football here. UCLA also is thinking ahead if they do score the touchdown, and they're going to probably go for 1 here if they crack the goal line on the extra point.
Try with Franklin. He eludes one defender, and he'll have it. Touchdown, UCLA. And Franklin's 3rd rushing touchdown of the season.
Well, and this is Bo McNally that appears to have him in the backfield, and look at the acceleration. The UCLA offensive staff talks about Jonathan Franklin's acceleration, and McNally thought he had him hemmed in. McNally didn't even get a piece of Franklin, and Franklin walks inside the pylon.
Forbath on for the PAT. He nails it, so good news for UCLA. They got their first touchdown. Bad news for them. Toby Gerhart will be on the field shortly. Just outside Stanford Stadium, beautiful weather this whole weekend in Northern California. And there's your score and time, with UCLA getting their first touchdown of this game on the Franklin run. And they've got a kick to Owusu, but he really hasn't hurt them. A lot of touchbacks so far is all we've seen. When Locke has got a leg. This is way out of the end zone. And it brings Gerhart back into the game, which he wasn't really going to be a factor in long yardage situations. He is now, though. Look at that drive for Gerhart to drag defenders an additional several yards to get it out to about the 30-yard line. His 27th carry is a first down and more. 7 more to that total. He'll be up to 129.
Robert Slosby on our crew, proud father of twins born last night, working down in the truck. Can't wait to get home, I'm sure, to Southern California to see his baby boy and baby girl. That's what they talk about when they talk about Modern Family, right, Dave?
That's right. There are children on that program. You're absolutely right. Well, congratulations to Mr. Slosby, and more importantly to his wife, who's doing very well.
Yes. Good point.
Change of pace here with Stephon Taylor, who's seeing some playing time in relief of Gerhart. Different style of running back, picked up a yard there, and Stanford's just going to continue to grind the ball and grind the clock as they've done successfully pretty much all day. Gerhart will come back into the game, and Owusu will join him.
The UCLA clock creeping inside 9 minutes. You know, they played a lot of man-to-man on the outside in this game, man-to-man principles, but you take a look here, they're going to have to take chances outside. Man-to-man right here, and if Andrew Luck decides to throw the football, he's going to have a shot.
He and Gerhart nearly collide. He's going to take his shot right now down the field for Owusu and overthrew him. It'll set up 3rd down and 8. And Luck on the day, 14 of 18 for 198.
The Bruins just loading up the box. 8 and 9 defenders here. 4th quarter, trailing by 11. And, you know, Jim Harbaugh, you got to give him his proper due. I like the fact that he's going after the jugular and play action, and they missed the play action. There was confusion in the backfield, and I think if they don't have the mix-up in the backfield, Luck might have hit that for 6.
Go to Gerhart. They were waiting for him, and that's going to be ruled incomplete. Gerhart did not have possession. UCLA defenders came up very quickly. Sheldon Price popped the football loose, and we're going to get only the second punt of the day from Stanford's David Green.
Well, this is a big hit for a kid that's 6'2" and only 163 pounds. Sheldon Price's father, Dennis Price, was a heck of a cornerback for UCLA back in their glory years back in the 80s. Long Beach policeman now.
Look out, that punt is partially blocked. Stanford will let it roll dead, and it will die at the 39-yard line. Sean Westgate came right up the gut to get a hand on that punt. It only went 22 yards, and yes, there is a little window for Rick Neuheisel's Bruins.
Well, UCLA will get the ball at their own 40, and they were an eyelash from having dramatically better field position.
So the partially blocked punt giving UCLA a chance to do something, down by 11. He's got the hot hand right now well, as soon as you say that, of course, you know you're going to get an underthrow. Logan Paulson was well defended, sets up second down and 10.
You know, that was not a very good route by Logan Paulson. You know, the ball appeared to be underthrown, but Paulson's got to sit down in the hole in the zone defense. He can't just run blindly through the defense, and I think Kevin Kraft wanted him to gear down. Kevin Kraft can't lead him with the ball right into the defender on the outside, or it's going to be an interception.
What do you mean by gear down?
You have to, as you're running a crossing route, gear down in between the two defensive players that are back in their zones, and then Kraft can hit the ball in the window.
Nobody on Ryan Moyes. He'll get another first down for UCLA. And that'll be out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Well, the game has really changed here, David. All of a sudden, UCLA's offense is becoming the unstoppable one.
Both teams with 3 timeouts.
Good play action fake that time. He's got Harkey, who's got some room, and a big body just trying to run over everybody. And how about Corey Gatewood in there to make the stop?
That was a physical tackle by Gatewood on a tight end out in the open field. And we talked about the game-winning drive a year ago, engineered by Kevin Kraft against the Cardinal down at the Rose Bowl. Corey Harkey, the tight end that made that reception, he was the Bruin who made the catch in the end zone to secure that win.
Franklin, and he'll get out of bounds at about the 15-yard line.
Jonathan Franklin on that second down run did a nice job by getting all the way to the edge and making sure that he got out of bounds. UCLA not only wants to score on this drive, it's imperative, but they're also looking at the clock. They want to save plenty of time for when that Stanford offense takes the field.
Pressure on Kraft, and he will underthrow. Arm may have been hit, or he may have been bumped in the back. Great pressure that time. Will Powers in there, McAndrew in there. He may have been the one who tipped the football.
Yeah, but it looked like Powers was the one that forced the pressure. You see 42 on the left side of the screen, and it was Powers. And if Powers didn't get a piece of Kraft's arm, Kraft really had to alter his delivery to get the ball out.
So Rick Neuheisel facing 4th and 7, brings out one of the best kickers in the country instead in Forbath. He's booted 2 already today. And he is perfect from 35 yards out. 4:16 remaining. UCLA down by 8. Can their defense stop a Cardinal offense that has grown cold in the 4th quarter? Yes, everything but the kitchen sink here. In fact, no, everything including the kitchen sink for the Stanford band. There's your score and time.
Rick Neuheisel's going to kick the ball deep.
And he does. And Owusu hasn't had a chance until now. Leading kick returner in the country, 59 yards per return. He gets a little gap, and it won't be 59 yards, but a respectable about 31 yards. He gets it out to the Cardinal 33-yard line.
You could sense the fans. They got up on their feet in the stands a bit, and the volume rose. This crowd was waiting all game long to get a picture of 81 returning a kickoff.
Well, unfortunately, his average, which was 59, will drop following a 32-yard return.
But fortunately, his average won't drop when he doesn't return those kicks that are out of the back of the end zone. So it's a double-edged sword.
Well, I don't think we're going to see anything but Gerhart left, right, and center.
At least on first and second down.
And he'll get across the 35 to the 38, 37-yard line, we'll say. It's a pickup of 3.
Coach. Sorry, Dave.
Not only the clock is the other thing you got to watch. When do you start, if you're UCLA, thinking about burning up those other 2 timeouts?
Not unless Stanford picks up a first down. They're going to save it for the next series of downs if Stanford picks up a first down. And when you look at Jim Harbaugh, there are so many coaches at the college and the pro level. They say, hey, we pass the ball, to get ahead. We run the ball to win the game. That's not exactly the blueprint here, but it is a situation where Stanford has a chance to put the ball game away with Gerhart.
And he'll get a couple of more. Now here comes one of those downs you sort of referred to. 3rd down and 5 coming up, and we do have a timeout called. And it's taken by the Bruins.
Second charge, timeout of the half.
3rd down, 5. Whalen in motion. And they go to him. And he almost made a miraculous catch. The ball thrown a little bit behind him. Sheldon Price on the coverage. And UCLA holds. They will get the ball back with 3:15 and a timeout.
Well, Andrew Luck had a chance here to come close to putting this game away. If he hits this ball, Stanford's got a great shot to work the clock and win the game. They might not be able to bleed it completely on the next set of downs, but they would have been very close. And you look at Luck in the background there, holding his helmet. Just a wasted opportunity. Very tough to miss that ball for Stanford.
Austin looking at this left-footed punt. The last one was partially blocked by the Bruins. This time they don't charge it. Austin is just buried. What a hit by Powers.
Well, and not only a big hit by Powers, but this is almost a fumble. You watch Terrence Austin, he almost didn't secure the football. He did save UCLA 5 to 10 yards of field position, and that's why he was making the play on the ball. He did not want Kevin Kraft starting inside his own 15-yard line.
Well, one consistent aspect of UCLA this season, their defense in the second half. They've only given up the defense just 3 points in the fourth quarter all season long. They were credited with losing 2 points in that safety at Tennessee, but the defense obviously wasn't on the field for that. Now can the senior Kevin Kraft hurt Stanford late again as he did last year?
Well, you have to give the Bruin defense a lot of credit just getting the ball back to the offense. That's how good the Stanford offense has been this afternoon.
They've had some success going to the sidelines, but that is incomplete. Coverage by Chris Evans on Taylor Embry. Could not hang on. 2nd and 10.
Well, that's the tough part about calling a quick route outside to a wide receiver. If Stanford's reading it and they're breaking that hard on the ball, you really don't have a second choice, a second option to come to as a quarterback. You're locked on that option, and that was really a canceled play for UCLA. 2nd and 10.
One thing we really haven't seen much of yet, David, is Kevin Kraft just standing back and pitching the ball down deep. They have not taken very many deep shots.
Well, and you look at UCLA's wide receiver core, with the exception of the true freshman Randall Carroll and Nelson Rosario, not a lot of deep threats over the top. We have seen Kraft get the ball down the field a bit more this afternoon than we've seen in the past.
Under some pressure, pocket breaks down. He'll have to run, and he should have slid. And he will just get hurled. Evans again, the senior from Monroe, Michigan, just spins him to the ground. Kaiser brought the pressure and flushed Kraft out of the pocket, and the clock still rolling.
Rick Neuheisel knows that he's in 4-down territory here, so that plays into the play calling for him and Norm Chow. And when you make the play call here on 3rd down, that plays into it. You're also thinking that we have to use a 4th down play, so let's set it up.
Jim Harbaugh looking at the longest 220 of his coaching career.
Again, Kaiser bringing all sorts of pressure. That does not get the first down. At the 30-yard line, they are 2 yards short. Austin made the catch, Gatewood on the coverage, and here's your ball game at 4th and 2.
That's a pretty nice throw all the way across the field. And again, one of the higher difficulty throws that we've seen all afternoon for either quarterback, and yet you're still short. 4th down, game on the line here. And if UCLA doesn't pick up a first down, Stanford's going to be able to bleed the clock. Even with the timeout that UCLA has, this game will essentially be over.
First time that the Bruins have gone for it on 4th down this season. Blitz. First down and more across to the 42-yard line. Interesting defensive call. Taylor Embry on the catch.
Well, that was a must-have reception. Embry had to win the battle inside on the slant. Kraft had to put it on the front pocket. Great play between quarterback and wide receiver to keep the drive alive.
Kraft under some pressure, and Snyder helps break up the pass as Presley trying to beg for interference. That stops the clock at 1:21.
Yeah, Snyder just backed off at the last count there. He was going for the football, and he realized that Presley had the inside position. Smart play to back off on the pass defense and not draw the flag.
So watch Jim Harbaugh during the 4th down play here, David.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you cannot question his intensity, and what a great quarterback in his day. The disappointment palpable.
Here comes more blitz, and I think that pass hit the ground. It did. That's incomplete. 3rd and 10. So Stanford, David, has gotten very aggressive on this drive with blitzes.
Well, they have, and also they're forcing, with these blitzes, they're forcing Kevin Kraft to throw the shorter passes. Now, Kevin Kraft has to have a route there to penalize the defense, and instead UCLA's breaking off routes at 6-7 yards. You know, eventually Kraft is going to have to go down the field if Stanford's going to continue to blitz him here on 3rd and potentially 4th down.
3rd and 10. More pressure. And it's going to be 4th down and 10 coming up. Little confusion along the Cardinal defensive line as to where to get everybody lined up, but once again they were able to disrupt Kraft, and once again it's a ball game 4th down for Rick Neuheisel and his Bruins.
Well, Ron Lynn is an old veteran, the defensive coordinator for Stanford. He's been around a long time. He's very gifted, and I like the way that he's come after UCLA blitzes on 3 consecutive downs. So many defensive coaches, especially up by 8 points, they play it safe. They play 8 men in coverage. Not Ron Lynn. He's bringing the house. They drop out of it.
And more pressure. Incomplete. Came in from Will Powers from the side, and the Stanford defense holds, and the Cardinal are 67 seconds away from being 3-0 in the Pac-10.
Well, Stanford had gone with 3 straight blitzes. They back out, only a 4-man rush. And it looked like Powers, number 42, what an afternoon he's had. You know, relentless, gets in the face of Kraft, and doesn't even allow the quarterback to take a shot down the field for a first down. What a play.
Bruins do have 1 timeout left.
Yeah, the 1 timeout is negligible here. It doesn't make a difference. Stanford's going to be able to bleed the clock, and UCLA knew that. They didn't get the first down. The timeout's not enough to stop the clock. Stanford's going to be able to go to a knee, and what a win. Looking at 3-0 in the Pac-10 conference to start the season. Well, this is a team that hasn't been to a bowl game since 2001. No winning seasons in the last 8.
How about Harbaugh there? He'll hug everybody in Palo Alto tonight if he gets an opportunity. His hometown. For the Cardinal, 4-1, 3-0 in the Pac-10. And there you see what this means to Stanford, and the expression that has become popular, David, is signature win for a coach. And I think for Jim Harbaugh, this is it so far.
Well, it really is. And Hey, you look at this team, they are a couple seconds away from being 5-0.
Now you can go run on the field, Jim Harbaugh, and he does.
He didn't figure that Rick Neuheisel would call timeout there, and it delayed the inevitable. Two great Pac-10 former quarterbacks shake hands at midfield in a very well-played ball game by both teams.
Stanford goes to 3-0. UCLA starts their conference play with a loss. They've got 8 consecutive conference games. Our final score, Stanford 24, UCLA 16. For David Norrie and our entire crew, I'm Dave Lamont. So long from Stanford. Now back to our Times Square studio and John Saunders.